continue down the path of the best worst case scenarios for the NFC South teams in 2021. And it's time to talk about the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, I have raved about how I thought the first year of the Matt Rule era went. I think it went swimmingly.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that only has, eyes toward the playoffs, and I think they could do it this year. Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, absolutely. And best case scenario, Darnold left the ghosts in New York.
Sam Darnold needs to become, he needs to take the step that Jared Allen took last year.
Jared Allen took a step on a cowboy ranch.
Damn it.
He is roping cattle.
I do that all the time. Josh Allen. He needs to take the same kind of step Josh Allen took last year to make Carolina fans feel good about where they're at with their future quarterback.
Yeah.
Because I think he can be the future quarterback of this team. He is surrounded by better weapons now, and I think we're going to see some growth in his game this year. The question is it going to work? Is he going to take that step?
A lot of coming out of camp out of Carolina there's been some raving about how the heart of Sam Darnold, how the grittiness of Sam Darnold, how he's a team player, all these good things that you want to hear coming out of camp. I mean, obviously it's, early camp rhetoric that we hear all the time, but I honestly believe that Joe Brady is going to get the absolute best out of Sam Darnold, and I think he has the absolute weapons to do it on this team. And I think a lot of it has to do with CMC staying healthy is another big thing for this team, because if you got to throw a Chuba Hubbard out there after this, they don't have a Mike Davis on this team like they had last year. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really dependent on that. We talked about their defense, and I know Jeremy's going to get into this, but it's really young. Yep. Really young, and they've spent a lot of draft capital on the defense over the last couple years, which I think they needed to do. Let's be clear here. Mm-hmm. They needed to. And the other thing that kind of scares me about this team is the tackle situation is still kind of up in the air. And I love the Carolina Panthers. I think they could possibly, best case scenario, they can make the playoffs this year. I kind of think they're still that year away from being a year away.
Yeah. Most of the question marks for the Carolina Panthers remain on the offensive line for me, just because I don't know. I don't know if these guys can all be quality starters in the NFL. We know Matt Paredes, that's not a problem. Matt Paredes at center, he ties everything together. Taylor Moton, obviously, they had to franchise tag him. They did. It's where you get into Cameron Irving and Pat Elflein, and I believe Brady Christensen is probably going to be the starter at left tackle for them this year. But, it's not the greatest. It's not their strength.
And how do you mitigate that? You run an offense like Joe Brady does.
Yeah.
Where the ball gets out of the hand quickly. Boom, I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to say something I haven't heard one person say about Sam Darnold. As somebody that's watched every pass he's ever thrown in the NFL.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you take away the time to think, and he doesn't have the ability to overthink, he's very good.
Yeah.
The problem is, when Adam Gase showed up, now he had to think about everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think he's going to have a very similar career resurgence to what Ryan Tannehill had when he got away from Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to level with you, he's more talented than Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it's not even debatable. In terms of arm talent, now, he has a little Jameis Winston in him where he does like to make bad decisions. Take away his ability to think and watch those go down.
Yeah.
And he's
Take it into a pick and pop offense, RPO offense. By the way, he's way more athletic.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah, he's so much more mobile than I think people give him credit for. I think he could have a type of season, best case scenario under Joe Brady. I think he can have like a 3,500 yards, 20 to 25 touchdowns, and just if he can keep it less than 10 or less turnovers, I could see that would be the best case scenario for this team. And I think that would kind of put them in the playoff push. I'm thinking 10-7, 11-6 best case scenario?
I would say 11-6 is best case scenario to make the playoff. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a sweeping declaration. I like doing those. If Sam Darnold plays 16 games, he will throw for more than 4,000 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he will throw for more than 25 touchdowns. and the Panthers will make the playoffs.
Awesome.
That's my sweeping declaration on Sam Darnold. I have looked at the schedule. I've gone down the rabbit hole. What I really feel when we're not playing best case, worst case scenario, I think of all the teams in this division, they will finish closest to their best case scenario than any team in this division.
Okay.
In terms of regular season record.
Yeah.
I still think Tampa Bay is obviously a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
In terms of if you set a high and a low for the record, I would say Carolina's the closest to their high of any team in this division.
I would agree with that. The schedule plays pretty well for them. I mean, best case scenario, I could see this team starting out 8-0, maybe 9-0. I mean, if things go horribly for the Dallas Cowboys, they very well could run the table.
I don't see that.
Really?
No. They're not. Nobody's starting 9-0.
Okay, you got the New York Jets. You got
who
the
they
Saints.
could lose to.
Huh?
Who they could lose.
I mean, they could lose, but I'm saying best case scenario, I could very easily see in the Carolina Panthers beating the Jets, beating the Saints, Texans. Then they got at the Cowboys. That's the loss. Then they got the Eagles, the Vikings, the Giants, the Falcons, the Patriots. Those are all winnable games in their grasp.
I would say you're probably undervaluing the Vikings. I would say it's probably best case scenario they start something in the neighborhood of 6-3, 7-2.
Yeah.
They're going to there's rose-colored glasses, and then there's just being out of your mind.
You think 8-1's too far out of the realm?
100%.
Okay.
That's now you've gone past best case scenario. Could they win every one of those games you just said? Yes. That's the chances of that are, I don't know, salads being ordered into this studio today.
Yeah.
Not real high. The vegan menu ever being looked at by anybody on this set.
I like what Adam Black's saying. He's saying Darnold is QB1 for playing Week 1 against the Jets as a FU game to them at home.
He said what he said was he's a DFS GPP play Week 1 easily. And he's 100% right. I think he'll be low owned too.
What's the?
I can't wait for the prices to come out on DraftKings.
What's the one thing that you would do for this team?
The one thing that I would do for Carolina, excuse me, I would go out and sign a vet offensive lineman. Donnie Bradley said in the comments that Cameron Irving probably starts at left tackle. It's entirely possible. But
are you thinking about tackles available or just offensive linemen?
I'm just thinking a vet. Like I like Elfline, but there's a lot of young on that line. And I like Paredes better than most. I think Paredes has been devalued after 1 year in Carolina, or 2 years in Carolina, which is stupid. He's a very talented player.
I mean, there's Russell Okung has had a history with the Panthers. He's still available. Osemele, what's that with the Chiefs? I can't. Osemele. I can't believe I can't say it. Mitchell Schwartz, Austin Reeder, all these guys, former Chiefs, are still available. That's a lot of. But I could see him signing like a Mitchell Schwartz. That wouldn't be too bad of a sign.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
A Russell Okung, a Mitchell Schwartz, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a veteran stabilizing presence.
Awesome.
That would be what I would look for. Now with the Saints, it's Richard Sherman. And I know you'll hear that from a million other people. The Saints, what they need to do going into the season, sign Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
You're asking C.J. Gardner-Johnson to do entirely too much.
And I
remembered we forgot to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the worst case scenario for the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers fans, you're not going to love this. Yeah. You see, this is
Sweet tea delivery.
We have sweet tea delivery into the Wing Week studio. The man's in the comments. The man's bringing sweet tea in the studio.
Right.
This is just.
I'll pass it along over to my friend there.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael Whiteside coming through.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot.
Did you bring a bucket that he could puke in?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I got a box.
He's got a box. He's got a box. All right. He's got a box.
You know, now that I'm looking at that looks a hell of a lot bigger than I thought.
Before we get to the chugging the gallon of
We'll do that at the end.
stunt.
Mainly because I have to mentally get prepared.
Yeah.
And maybe
Here,
have
I'll just take this, put it to the side for right now.
maybe have a conversation.
With Jesus.
Let's talk about the worst case scenario for the Carolina Panthers. The worst case scenario for the Panthers is Sammy's just not that good.
Worst case scenario. Uh-oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Charlotte's haunted too. Worst case scenario is that Charlotte has ghosts just like New York.
Yeah.
And that's my fear. I will tell you Darnold's limitation is that the more leash you give him, the more leash he's going to take. The best he ever was he went through a 6-game period with Adam Gase. I want to say they started the year 1-6, or he started the year 1-6, and then won 6 straight games against like the 6 of the 7 worst teams in the NFL. He's very good against bad defense.
Yeah.
My fear is that there are a lot of good defenses in this division. And I shouldn't have said good. I think there could be a lot of decent pass rushes in this division. There's a lot of good defenses on the schedule.
Yeah.
And he's as much of a rhythm thrower as you'll ever see. There's not many guys that are rhythm-based to the way he is.
Yeah.
So
It kind of makes him perfect fit for Joe Brady.
and I agree with that. But the bad could be real bad.
Yes.
Because if he gets off the rails, it can go sideways in a hurry.
Right. As much as you like the weapons for the Carolina Panthers.
And I do.
Robbie
I love the
Anderson
weapons.
fan. Your DJ Moore's going to have a
Moore's
great
gonna have an
year.
insanely good year.
Terrace Marshall, I think, is going to be an unsung rookie this year in the NFL. Shi Smith, he's got the ability to make a whole lot of plays. I like the weapons, but if their quarterback can't get them the ball, we've all seen how this goes. And we've seen how bad Sam Darnold can be when he can't hit Robbie Anderson. So if they can't find the groove, there are some massive holes on this team. And if that offensive line is as bad as it looks on paper to me, this is a team that could very well end up winning 4 games.
I can see them having the same record that they did this year if these things happen. If Sam Darnold is seeing ghosts and he ends up being New York Sam Darnold, which is worst case scenario for Panthers fans because there was a lot of them who did not like the move. CMC gets hurt and the offensive line is just absolute complete garbage like it is, and you have a young defense. There is a path, worst case scenario, that this team could be 5-12 very easily. I see.
I don't see it.
What's the floor?
Worst case scenario.
Yep.
7-10.
7-10.
7-10's worst case scenario. I don't see them being worse than that. This kid was 2-10 with Adam googly-eyed dumbass Gase and a defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed with a roll of paper towels.
Right.
I don't see him being worse than that with Matt Rule and talent around him. I just don't buy it. Plus, and this is another thing I haven't heard a lot of, the pressure in Charlotte's just way less than the pressure is in
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I've done Zoom calls with Jet reporters. There were 40 of us in the last one I did.
Yeah.
I've also done Zoom calls with Panthers reporters. You care to take a stab at how many were in the last one of those I did?
4.
It was 8. And I was the 8th. I didn't even have a role in the last Jet one I did because I didn't qualify for the top 30 or however many to get on screen.
Right.
There's just a big difference. And Sam's a California laid-back surfer kid. You put him in Charlotte where, yes, there are expectations, but you don't have a media member every time you go to a fucking Bennigan's.
Bennigan's.
I like Bennigan's.
Good for you.
I like Bennigan's.
I've never been to Bennigan's.
You've been to Bennigan's Imitation a few times.
What is it?
Bennigan's? It's,
It's like an Applebee's, Ruby Tuesdays, O'Charlie's, like all that.
Yeah, it's that eating good in the neighborhood, local establishment where you get
75 pieces of flair on your uniform.
Yeah.
You can get 16 riblets for $5.
I was going to say you get 78 boneless wings for $43.
Yeah.
That kind of place.
Yeah.
I got you.
A place that, not trying to cast aspersions here, but seems like it would be right up your alley.
No doubt. I'm all about mass quantities and cheap food.
Eating good in the neighborhood.
Is that where Waiting was filmed?
Yeah.
What Michael Watson said Waiting, that's where Waiting was filmed.
Aha.
It is.
Gotcha.
Welcome to
Shenanigans.
That's right.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans
No,
was
in
Shenanigans
Office
Office
Space.
Space.
Yeah.
No, Shenanigans
that.
was in Super Troopers.
Shenanigans was also in Office Space.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That was the restaurant Jennifer Aniston worked at in Office Space.
75 different
Which,
pieces
by
of
the way, greatest movie ever made.
Jeremy watched the freaking movie, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a round of
I watched that
applause.
movie.
Give him a round of applause.
I've watched that movie a bunch of times.
I don't think the Panthers defense has the ability to be god-awful. I really don't. I think they took a step last year, and they only added more weapons to this defense. Hassan Reddick and Denzel Perriman, I think, was like an unheralded move of the entire offseason in the NFL.
I can't remember. Shit. Patrick Holt said, is that where the waitress worked that Tiger Woods banged? It wasn't. It wasn't.
No, wasn't it?
I thought it was Waffle House.
No, it was like Waffle House.
Ponderosa?
No. The Ponderosa. No, what the fuck was
Perkins.
that? Perkins.
Perkins,
She was
yeah.
a Perkins
She was a
waitress.
Perkins waitress.
Which is like Denny's, only grosser.
Listen, I grew up in upstate New York. Perkins
you were
was good
completely
eating,
wrong
baby.
about that.
Perkins was class when I went to upstate New York. When you got the family all dressed up, that was Sunday afternoon after church.
It was tchotchkes in Office Space.
Yeah.
We got this all kinds of fucked up.
We're all on it.
We're playing the match game with weird restaurants from stupid movies.